It is the 18th day of December 2013, and we are in the bowels of the Clinton County History Museum on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. As Calvin said, I guess Yogi said it before he did, deja vu all over again. We've been in this space, but never, to the best of my knowledge, have we broadcast compliments of the season until now. Before we even begin, not that I'm modest or vain, and I couldn't care less about what people think of my mouth, but a couple of teeth had taken out with some oral surgery a few days ago, so if I happen to smile broadly, and I like to do that often, you'll understand that it's not a tunnel to the Lion Mountain mines. So we're here for fun with Melissa Peck, who is our director, and Julie Dowd, who is our dear friend. How are you, Julie?
I am very well.
And
Merry
Melissa?
Christmas.
I'm doing great.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
As I said, we're recording this, and Christmas is coming apace, as they used to say. And the goose is getting fat.
Yeah.
And although somebody told me on Facebook this morning, no, it's not next week, is it? I said, yes, it's next week already. Because Thanksgiving was late, and Christmas is always on the same day. It just kind of converged on us. So, who's going to tell me why we have compliments of the season in the basement of this wonderful old building?
Well, this has been kind of designated as our changing exhibition space down here.
Oh, yes, and we've watched those changes.
Yeah, so
We should have time-lapse photography.
So the Prue exhibit was just recently down here, and it was time for that to come down. And the exhibits committee we're always trying to plan exhibits that will relate to the county and what's happening here, and this is an ideal location because it's we're changing things in here a lot, and we thought it would be a great time to display some of the artifacts from the museum that would relate to the wintertime here in Clinton County. So
It's really nice to interview people who can speak in sentences,
Oh.
have an idea of what they're talking about.
thanks.
It's just wonderful. Julie and I, our mouth never stopped talking.
Yeah,
because-
my high school yearbook was that.
Did
Silence is golden, but talking is more fun. That was my.
Oh, perfect. I think we ought to put that on the beginning of every edition of our little corner.
Yeah.
Before we even begin our tour of compliments of the season, I want to add my congratulations to you and to all the other people who are making this museum such a tremendous success. We watched it from the beginning, long before the Clinton County Historical Association made its move here, and we have seen them go through a few moves over the years. And one day, we stood on the front porch in the driving rain with Roger Harwood, and nobody quite knew what was going to happen when the museum moved here. But fast forward to 2013, and it's just terrific.
Well, thank you so much.
You've only been here.
I can't take any credit for any of that.
Yes, you can. You're wonderful. How long have you been the director?
I think it's a year and 6 months, maybe now.
And Julie was involved in history. She was a mature woman in age 7 and realized that there was some perspective in life that had to be shared. And young people don't have that perspective generally until they get to be a little bit older. But
Yeah.
you always loved the history.
Well, I've kind of always loved genealogy. I never lived with my family when I was a kid, and my father was in the Army, so obviously we moved around a lot. And, it's nice to be in one place so you can dig into the history of the place.
We should say that military families, if the kids can survive all those moves, like preacher's kids, of which I was one, all those moves, then I think you have an advantage over the average bear. You get to meet more people. You are forced to accommodate all these massive changes and assimilate all your new friendships.
Well, you go one way or the other. You either go
Yeah.
into yourself or you're very gregarious, yeah.
You're gregarious.
Yeah.
That's a good word that has been used many times to describe the way I act in public and in private. But it's great to have both of you here. The genealogy is fascinating to me. Have you ever gotten involved in that, even though that's part of your job?
Can we start with that?
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you got genealogy?
okay.
Here, let me
Well,
get
we
over
do,
this side
yes.
and move around this way.
This doll case, a lot of the dolls came from the Plattsburgh Public Library, and they no longer collect artifacts. They just collect archives and books. But the Dion
I didn't know they
quintuplets.
collected artifacts.
Yeah, no, they did in the olden days. The Dion quintuplets, that's a set of dolls right there. And we figured out that Melissa here is related to the Dion quintuplets. There's the
No, come on.
Oh, well, of course, we all are.
And we're all related to Samuel de Champlain
Yeah,
and
well-
the Pope and who knows who.
Five of them, too.
All
Yeah.
5 of them. Yeah, that's
well,
even better.
And she's the 10th cousin of the Dion quintuplets.
Was that a shock to you, Melissa?
Yeah. She couldn't
Because when
believe
I
it.
was a little boy, and the Dion quintuplets were born, what year were they born? Can you remember?
34, I think.
Yeah, a little
37
before.
maybe.
So they were little kids, and I wasn't born till 1937.
1934 they were born.
Yeah, 3 years before I was. So they were everybody watching.
Oh, yeah.
Now we have octuplets and.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, that's wonderful. Go ahead, Julie. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's just that it's a lovely story that goes along with it, and there's 2 of them left, and they live in Montreal.
It is great. Yeah, I follow them. I go to antique shops and museums and other places, and I was in Georgia, and there was a big picture of them as I walked in the door, and it just refreshed my own memories.
Well, I think every little girl wanted a set of the Dion quintuplets,
Of course.
and we had Snow White here and her 7 dwarfs.
Those are precious.
Aren't they lovely?
Wow.
Yeah, Snow White looks like my granddaughter Lillian. She thinks she looks like Snow White too.
Are those old?
Yeah, those are original whenever they came out. I haven't done much research on them.
Look at the porcelain. Tiny
Yeah,
porcelain.
yeah. Well, I put them there just for fun, but they were very popular in 1910, 1920, around there. But our prize doll is that Kewpie bride doll. I've never seen a nicer one anywhere, even on the internet. And
Look at the
yeah,
face
yeah,
and that gown.
she's really charming.
Somebody,
and,
somebody protected her.
Yeah, the lady that developed the Kewpie dolls was an artist and illustrator, a cartoonist in the early 1900s. I think her name was O'Grady. And she earned a lot of money from the Kewpie doll idea.
Oh, well.
Sweet dolls.
We see them on eBay and
Yeah.
American Pickers and
Yeah.
everywhere else
Yeah.
and Antiques Roadshow quite
Yeah.
often.
And
They're
those
beautiful.
bisque dolls in the back were very popular, not really to play with, but more or less to look at.
Oh, gorgeous.
Neither of them have hair. The wigs, the glue dries out and the wigs fall off. So
Oh, sure.
yeah, so they look pretty nice there. The one over in the far left
Yes.
is a Sonia Henne doll, and they have a display at the Lake Placid Olympic Center Museum this month on Sonia Henne, so I thought that was nice that we could put it in there.
It was wonderful. That's another, like the Dion quintuplets.
Oh, yeah.
Sonia Henne was, my mother talked about her all the time.
Yeah.
My mother was an athlete, and she was a hero.
Helen Nurska, our director, our association president, had a cousin who skated in the Sonia Henne troupe.
Oh, isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah.
And charming things.
Oh yeah, they are. The little sewing machine, this is was made in Germany in the 1800s, and that little sewing machine over there on this side here was mine when I was a kid.
Come on.
Yeah, and
The paint is still
It actually
original.
works,
You were never
yeah.
allowed to play with toys.
I was so nerdy I even put a cover on the instruction book, didn't I?
You've
Yes, I
gotta
did.
be-
I
Come
did.
on. Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that
Yeah.
wonderful?
Yeah, we have some mechanical toys and some stocking stuffers, some dreidels, and some gold coins, and it's just lovely to see the little cups and saucers and everything here.
I don't think I knew what a dreidel was until I heard the dreidel song.
Yeah.
And growing up, I heard the word, but never knew what it was.
Yeah.
What is it?
What is it? It's a dreidel is a top,
Yeah.
a hand spun top. These little tiny ones are smaller versions.
Yeah.
Yep. And the menorah.
Yeah. So this is really a celebration of the season rather than just Christmas. And this
Sure.
is our Christmas room. The other room is more or less a
Did
seasonal.
you find old books here, or did you have to look?
These
for them?
are compliments of the Salvation Army.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I have been collecting them since October or so, and they just make a nice decoration. And my kids had a couple of them. I think that Angelina book right there and that I Spy book over there, my grandson really likes.
Oh,
So
and the little snowman.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. I have a reproduction, but a perfect reproduction of the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Of the original that I had when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
And the plates, the illustrations are just enough to mesmerize anybody who keeps their eyes open. So, the night before Christmas.
These are
that's
lovely.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do we have here?
This
on
is
the
a man's
side?
coat, and it came from, I don't know where it came from, but it was donated by Carl Engelhardt and his
Oh, my
wife
goodness.
Margaret.
Really?
And inside it's muskrat.
Oh my! And look at
And
the
I
shape
think
it's
this
in.
is sheared muskrat here, maybe lamb, but it's very, very warm. This little dress is a kind of a wrapper, and it's quilted, and you can feel the inside, the
Oh,
feathers lining it.
oh.
Yeah, it's
Down feathers, no
Yes.
doubt.
So you must have worn it. They must have
With a
worn it in the
snowflake-
wintertime.
And a snowflake on the belt area. Isn't
Wow.
that just beautiful?
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. Do you?
Yes.
Came from your?
The dollar store. No,
Come-
the dress.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to do a little more research on that too. Some of the things were given to us, and in all the moves, we don't know
You
who
know,
they came from.
Calvin and I go back quite a few years, 17 years with me doing this show, Melissa.
Yes.
And we were fortunate enough to spend time with the fabric and the garment area that people never got a chance to see, because down on Saleh Avenue, there was so little display space. But we got to go upstairs and look in the boxes.
Oh.
Well, we'll take you up another time because now
Yeah.
we've got a huge room as big as the Saley house filled with textiles.
Textiles.
Yes, those boxes, we have them all.
Oh, and
Piled up to the ceiling.
you know, it's something we've talked about before, and we talk about it often when we talk about the Smithsonian Our Museum in Washington, D.C., how many literally millions of items can never be displayed, even in spite of their frequently rotating displays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of our textiles are very tender, and so
Oh, they
you
are.
can't really take them out, or you can take them out and just lie them there to look at them.
Don't let me near them then.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
we
let's-
have people come in that say, my grandmother donated so and so we go upstairs and we look for it and bring it down and
So they can see it.
and yeah, we put
We're
our
so
little
lucky
gloves on and
so
everything.
lucky to have this place. Let us move along. I'll step over this way, and you tell us what else we have behind us here. It's your turn.
I know.
Okay, I'm going to follow you,
I know, I'm
Melissa.
trying to. Well, I guess we could start with the prints and the photographs on the wall.
Yes.
These are on loan to us from Marissa Gilbert, our treasurer. She approached Julie about them. There's some winter scenes. This one's an etching by Wright Brooks, an ice harvest. And I know a lot of our residents here know that we did a lot of ice harvesting there on Lake Champlain long time ago, before there were refrigerators. But also, what else do we have here? Oh, trout fishing on Chattagay Lake, ice fishing, so that's still very popular. And down here on this side is ice sailing on Lake Champlain.
Oh, we've done shows about that. You see them once in a while these days, but in the old days it was
We
popular.
think this might be Rouse's Point. That we think that's the railroad.
Oh my goodness, you got better eyes than I do.
Well, we've been at it with a magnifying
Yeah.
glass. And this is
Is this a Courier and Ives?
this is a Courier and Ives page from a calendar. It's not
Oh.
an original at all.
Oh, I see.
But we put it up there because it had to do with winter in Clinton County
Yeah.
and Upper Chattagay Lake. Yeah.
Chattagay Lake, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And next,
This is a Christmas card that I get every year. There's 2 years right here from a man called Calvin Collins, who was a former student of mine from Merrill, New York, who earns his living by art. And he sends Christmas cards from wherever he is. He designs one every year. This one says, so the weather outside is frightful, and thoughts of you are delightful.
there.
Oh, Calvin.
Oh,
Student.
you taught him well, Julie.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And the book in the back, you'd be interested in it. This is a Roycroft book, and the man who printed that actually died on the Titanic. And
I love it.
yeah.
People are saying, really?
Really?
Whoa.
And this is a very good example of that book because it's hand tinted on the inside, the illustration.
Oh,
It's
yes.
beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely
when
beautiful.
they did that, it was so fantastic. I have some
And,
French children's books that were hand
yeah.
tinted.
Dick Ward, he said it was a very nice one and he should know. Yeah.
He should know.
Yeah, I guess he should know.
He just, for the benefit of our viewers who remember all those, some were misspent, some were not, years that I spent on the radio in this area. Remember a former DJ by the name of Rick Robinson who called himself Rickaroo, a name that I picked up to add to the occasion way back when, and he just died recently, and his obituary was in an Albany paper, and Dick Ward sent it to me. He's a nice man, and he stays in touch with things historical. I was sad to see that they listed his time in Armed Forces Radio, but not at the radio station we worked for. So, but anyway, Rick Robinson was a good friend, and I should just note his passing officially on our little corner. So what else?
Go ahead.
There's just some other little fun curios. There's some hair jewelry here. This is a hair necklace set that was donated in 1980 by Mrs. William Jameson. So you wouldn't know to look at it, but that is actually hair. So as Julie would
There
say,
was a lot of that going on back in the day.
yeah, if you didn't have money to maybe purchase something, you could use your hair for a nice
And
present.
people did this for a living, making hair portraits. I don't know, Julie, have you seen them,
Pretty
Julie?
creepy. We've got some hair pictures upstairs.
Hair portraits, large hair portraits done with human hair.
Yes.
That's
That
amazing.
pile of black in the middle right there is also a hair necklace.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
like Melissa said, if you didn't have enough money to buy a present, you would make something out
That's
of your
great.
hair. Yeah,
Look at these old ornaments.
yeah. I love that over there, the commode with the crochet around the edge. That's called a husher. So you wouldn't wake up people in the middle of the night when you got up to use it.
I have so many stories about.
It is
of course-
empty, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Of course, the vernacular when I was a kid was chamber pot,
Yeah.
and of course they were very common because we had privies or outhouses.
Better than going
Back
outside in the
houses,
winter. Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I have stories that won't ever be told on television.
I think that big old clock or watch right there was donated by Bernie Amell.
No kidding.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should donate some of mine. I have so many
This
watches
is a
and clocks.
snuff box.
Really?
Yeah. It's a snuff box, I think, that belonged to a Halleck from Peru.
It's a good time for us to mention that if people have items they'd like to donate to the museum, how would they go about it, Melissa?
We actually have a collections committee. What you would do is you would bring the item in. We could either take pictures of it, get some background information on it, and it would go on our collections committee agenda. And more than likely, if it has Clinton County provenance, we would accept it and take care of it.
Yeah, to mention again that this is a rotating display. I don't know how many there have been since the move occurred here. You don't, because you've only been here a year, but there have been, what, maybe at least 4 or 5 that we've
Probably,
covered through
yeah.
the years.
Yeah, I haven't been in on a lot of them, but yeah.
I should mention again that we're doing this with Hometown Cable, and Calvin has begun to archive all the old VHS shows from way back when, so if people are interested, they'll see how hard Calvin has worked since the early 1980s to chronicle events in the lives of John Q. citizens, famous and infamous people, authors, artists, and so on for all those years. And you can find them at hometowncablenetwork.com or plattsburgh.com. Our programs are broadcast on the local cable channels also several times weekly, on Calvin's channel up north and on Charter Communications here in the greater Plattsburgh area. So we appreciate all the support we get for shows we do here. And thanks to Julie and this young lady right here and other people who aren't in the room, we have generated a great interest in local history. And Calvin has taken that camera to all the little towns when they celebrate their centennials and bicentennials and quadricentennials and tercentennials. And all of that is on hometowncablenetwork.com.
And I hope you're training somebody up, just in case.
They'd have to learn how to live on no money.
You know, at some time in the course of almost every one of our programs, I talk about a labor of love. And in this case, it truly applies. Because this is what Calvin does for a living. So sometimes there's a good lunch and sometimes bologna sandwiches. So, you know. But it's true. We both feel an obligation.
I think it's a wonderful thing that you do.
To do this. And the late Bob Venn, and his name pops up all the time when I talk to people about hometown cable, because he did it for a number of years and had the bad sense to die just as I was retiring from the radio, retiring. Not the correct word to use in that instance. When I was leaving the radio business after 36 years, so I picked up the torch, or the club, whichever your choice may be, and Calvin sat in my living room. We decided to perpetuate Bob Venn's memory of what's going on here with a show called Our Little Corner, and here we are. Calvin was calculating 800 and, I don't know, one a week for 17 years. Do the math, as they say.
I feel very lucky to live in a community that's being so well documented, for sure, because that's part of what we do here. And what you guys are doing, really, it's all about the history. And I feel so fortunate because, that's being saved. And now with the technology that we have today, it's online. You guys have it online. And it really helps us and researchers, because we get a lot of researchers. And when you have things in, locations that people can access, like online with the hometown cable, and then here at the museum, it's easier for researchers and people to find out the information that they need.
That's a good time to tip the hometown cable hat again, to these historians who while away the hours doing research for people in their little communities. I hate to mention one by name, we'll just have a sweeping congratulations to all of them for the job they do. We just did a recent television show with Stacy Pratt and her another postcard book about Clinton County, and we had just so much fun sitting there. And I said, "Okay, Stacy, time to show the book." And she said, "Oh, it's not out yet." Whoa!
February.
Oh,
We're trying to get her to roll it out here, so
hey,
stay tuned.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a pair of handcuffs that would work.
There you go.
We'll trap her right here and hook her to the front door. But we do. And sometimes our viewers, not any of us in this room, take what Calvin does and what these historians do for granted. Because it's always ubiquitous and accessible to everybody at any time, either online or in person here. And we are lucky to live in that area. I mean, people from outside the area, only thing they know about Clinton County is what they see on hometown cable, right?
Yeah.
And you have a website.
Yes, we do. It's clintoncountyhistorical.org, and I am actually in the process of redesigning one.
Oh, you are?
Yes, so we'll have something released in 2014, hopefully earlier in the year, January, February.
And as Julie said, historians are very much involved and always have been in genealogy. People walk into a historian's office and want to know about their great-great-grandfather.
Yeah. We have some lovely genealogies here I've been dying to get my fingers on, but we just are so busy with the day-to-day stuff of looking after the collection and helping people out when they come to the museum. It's hard to get time to really get into it. We have a lovely, huge genealogy of the Lane family that founded the Redford Glass Company years ago in
That's just been
the
growing and
1830s.
growing and growing.
And
A wonderful North Country story.
oh yeah, and it's there and it's very delicate and the ink is fading and you want to get right to it before anything happens to it. But we've got a lot of family genealogies here in little scraps and sometimes whole books of genealogical information.
I sick so many people on the genealogical group and then the beautiful old schoolhouse in Dannemora
Yeah.
because Calvin and I have followed the moves until they got up there, and I hope that's a permanent
I
home
hope that's
now.
a permanent home too. I hope we can expand because we've got so many books and we're starting to lose space for people to come and sit and do the research. But it is a wonderful source for Clinton County. Absolutely amazing the number of books we have. And the researchers and the people that help up there are wonderful. They're all very, excuse me, into genealogy. Gloria Pratt, out of this world.
She's great.
Dick Lynch, the Seenies, Dick Ward. I can't, name them all, but every one of them is right
But
into
these are people who care, and there are lots more besides them. I suppose we ought to move along here.
Behind you, you might
Okay.
recognize that table.
Oh,
It's a card table with local businesses on it.
come on.
Yeah, look at it.
I never saw such a thing.
Yeah.
When was this made?
I think it was the 40s, and I think it was for a fundraiser. I want to say.
Copeland Oil, look at Nelson's
At the
Flower
Masons.
Shop, Coca-Cola Bottling Company, E.S. Mason, Mickey's Tavern.
Yeah, Montgomery Ward. Yeah, it's like a throwback in time.
Mason's, Plattsburgh National Bank, National Army Store.
Yeah.
Oh, we're waxing nostalgic here because all these places have great memories for me. Angelo's Bakery, Dock and Coal. My God, Goff's Market. Oh, this is wonderful.
Isn't it?
Is this owned by the museum?
Yes, it is.
Somebody donated it?
Yes, and his name is escaping me right now, but it was a donation this
Oh,
year.
he'll call you
Oh, I
up as
know.
soon as he
He'll-
sees us.
Oh, I can't remember.
No, that's all right. I have to write names down to remember too. I love it, and it's not in bad shape.
Oh, it's
so
in wonderful
there wasn't
shape.
too much beer spilled on it.
And then we have these local board games that this one is Plattsburghopoly. So this was sponsored by SUNY Plattsburgh Fraternity Sorority Community, and Plattsburgh is the name of the game. These were both donated by Stan Ransom.
This is an interesting game, and of course I know the history because I followed it on the radio in 1984. Plattsburgh Pride, which a lot of people don't know about. But the publishers of Plattsburgh Alive were the forerunners of a lot of things that happen today. And that would be Helen Ionelli, right?
Well, you have to tell us the story because we don't know any of it.
Oh my goodness, I'll write it down, but
Yeah.
my memory's only about 5 minutes these days, so. But anyway, it is. We talked about it a great deal when it came about in Of course, when you get to be my age, 1984 seems like last Tuesday, so, That's great. And the little stockings on the wall.
Yeah.
Are these old stockings? Or new stockings?
I think those are from Julie.
Yeah, those are stockings that I bought, and I put them away and forgot about them.
Oh,
And my kids grew up, and so I brought them into the museum. We used other stockings.
I just love it with a Star of David on one and Christmas things
Yeah,
on the other.
yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
talk about a wonderful eclectic group? And I wrote a column which hasn't even been in the newspaper until this Sunday about the stockings I remember when I was 3 years old, and they were green felt. And in those days there was no plastic. So there were other products that were the forerunners of plastic, and radios and telephones, and it was called Bakelite and celluloid and all of those strange products, and little celluloid Santa Claus at the top. And it's fun to remember. As you get old, sometimes those are all you can remember is your early childhood. All right, she's going that way. Which way? Do you want to go this? Okay, Just in case you turned your television set on, I'm really sorry. You missed the best 15 minutes of your life. We're at the Clinton County History Museum. What is this, Ohio Avenue?
Yep, it's 98 Ohio.
98 Ohio Avenue on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base with Melissa Peck, director, and Julie Dowd, dear friend and expert on so many levels I don't know where to begin. But her vital information would take more than a page and a half, I guarantee you that. So we're doing compliments of the season, one of the rotating displays here in the basement of the Clinton County History Museum. You got some more wonderful old books. Did you dig those up,
No,
Julie?
these come from Jerry Favreau, one of our directors, or one of our trustees here. And she played the piano and the violin when she was a little kid, and the music was bought for her. Go ahead and move it.
I don't think I can, but I just wanted to show the books behind the door because I have several copies of these books in my own
Oh, yeah.
vast collection, having raised so many kids.
Yeah, North Pole Town, love it. My kids had these little books too, and
That's Arto Monaco in the North Pole Town,
Yeah.
by the way. I can tell his artwork a mile
these
away.
are letters that Jerry wrote to Santa when she was a little kid, and replies from Santa.
Come on. Isn't that... You know, I have adopted the persona of the Jolly Elf numerous times over the years to talk about it delicately. And I remember in the early days of CBs, on Christmas Eve, of course, on the radio station, there was the NORAD thing and the bulletin, we interrupt this program, and where Santa was. But then I would rush out into the car and sit in the freezing cold weather on the CB and do the ho, ho, ho thing for the neighborhood kids and their families.
Isn't that wonderful?
And I'd forgotten about that for the last 30 years, but never mind. Never mind, we're having a great time. Okay,
Well, thank you to Jerry.
around the corner as Calvin comes. Just terrific. You've done such a tasteful job. It's an art. Putting up a display like this is an art form all by itself. And the average person on the street cannot do it so that the display is acceptable to anybody except close friends and family. But this is perfect. Behind us we have heartwarming recipes.
Yes, we do.
Oh, my friends at the Strictly Food for Thought magazine would love this.
Yeah.
Figgy
a
pudding.
lot of-
Figgy pudding?
Yeah.
Come on.
My mother used to make that when I was a kid, and she'd wrap it in a cloth and boil it, and then we'd have custard or whatever it was on top. So yeah, I remember that. And you had to light it, of course, and there was a sixpence inside because I was brought up in
Of
England.
course,
Yeah,
a sixpence.
yeah, yeah.
Isn't that? And, oh, figgy. And I talk about mincemeat pie. You know why nobody makes mincemeat pie? Not real meat pie anymore. And my wife's father was a great deer hunter and would regale you with the same old stories over and over again, but they were so good and so interesting and barely embellished a little bit each time. But he made venison mincemeat. And when Leona wasn't looking, there'd be a little spirits poured in the side. So it was especially good with mincemeat. But listen to this description. Boil a tender piece of beef, and when done, chop fine, and the offals also.
Yes.
I love it! 1 bowl of meat, 3 bowls of apples, 1.5 pounds of sugar, 2 pounds of raisins, cloves and cinnamon to taste, and black pepper, 1 pound of butter, and bake well. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I can taste it now. My wife made a homemade apple crisp yesterday. And after I finished some after supper, then we're sitting watching television. She said, "What are you thinking about so intently?" I said, "Another bowl of the apple crisp. The wassail bowl. Tortilla, plums, sliders, chicken and sliders." People are watching this program saying, "What are they talking about?" Did you know that the true spelling of slider is S-L-I-T-E-R?
No, I did not.
Hey,
Is it a German dish?
It is.
Oh.
And it somehow got adopted here in the North Country
Oh, yeah.
and was a Peasleyville favorite when I first
Oh.
moved here. And the Marcotts, who had 9 daughters, invited me out to have sliders one night.
Gordy
And-
Jarvis in Ellenburg makes excellent
Sliders?
sliders at the
Oh.
Ellenburg Inn. There's a plug for him.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
terrific.
Yeah,
I did
think
not
he
know
does it- I
that.
think he does it on Mondays, yeah.
Oh, I will be on my way.
Yeah, so we have a lot of recipes from different ethnic groups here. Pea soup, obviously.
Who did you do
For
the
the
pictures?
Frenchmen. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, just
And
like it was nothing. This is
This
wonderful.
Panucci fudge is in honor of Jan Kuchar, the Saranac historian who every special occasion makes a batch and brings it to the Historical
Oh.
Association.
I accompanied Santa Claus to Big Daddy's restaurant last weekend up there, and the Kuchers were entertaining. So I got to talk with the Kuchers
Oh,
a
yeah?
lot. They're all dear old friends,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and of course we've known Jan for a long
Yeah, she
time.
just sent a batch out to her sister who lives, I think it's in Colorado.
Really?
Yeah.
Grandfather's pancakes, meat stuffing, pork and beans, cabbage rolls, salt pork and milk gravy. Oh, now you're
no
getting
calories
you're
there.
getting close to my heart, and my heart is in my stomach. And fried perch.
Oh, yeah.
We're approaching that
Up
season.
North Country, yeah.
People have been ice fishing already.
Yeah.
Some lakes were frozen over the day before Thanksgiving in 2013, and I fear that the predictions of a horrible winter
What do
season
you think?
are unfolding in ways that I don't find very appetizing
I was at the
myself.
ferry yesterday and it was just coming off, the heat was coming out of the lake like crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what a great, was this your idea, heartwarming recipes? Of course it was. Who else would come up with that? I love that. Julie, just fantastic. All right, behind us.
And these are some of the recipe books that we have here. Wonderful, wonderful recipe books. Some hand written, you can see. This is from Trinity Church, this end one, I think in 1885, maybe
Is it really?
1875.
Oh, I've never seen that
Yeah.
one.
Here's the Plattsburgh Barracks Book Club recipe book.
1934? Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and you know, people, you can see the names of people who donated. Dick Ward, obviously, he gets a lot of stuff for us. And Nancy Barber and Alan Everest, names that you know. So,
I absolutely do. I've seen some of these, and some of these I have not. My wife has an amazing collection of old cookbooks, which I've written about, and every now and again she'll get out this old wooden drawer that was obviously in a file cabinet somewhere with all my mother's card file. And she's got all her
I have
mother's
my mother's
recipes.
too.
And,
Oh, makes my
and
heart
it's,
hurt.
it's just
Yeah.
absolutely
This
amazing.
book is for sale. That book is for sale. And a lady just came in and brought several of these
I
this
saw them
morning.
coming in
Yeah.
the door while
So
I was
that was
here.
good, yeah.
We need one of these
Yeah.
and one of
Yeah,
these, and
yeah.
that's something we should mention as the bookshop here at the museum. That's a very nice collection up there.
Yeah. Milk bottles. We don't see very many glass milk bottles anymore. That spoon was made by a Halleck from Halleck Hill,
Oh,
obviously.
no kidding.
He made it for his mother so she could stir her puddings.
And here it is after
Yeah,
all
there it is.
these years.
And they used to give out gifts at Christmas time, companies, and that is the N.R. LeDuc Horseshoe Nail and Horseshoe Company.
Where?
Keysville, I
In
think.
Keysville, well, they've had
Yeah.
they had some horseshoe nail companies. Calvin and I have done TV shows there.
Yeah.
The buildings are now being reused.
And this is a wonderful plate from 1918. And
Scioto?
from Scioto.
Wow.
At PA Facette. And they would give out these, you know, to their customers at
Sure.
Christmas time. But this says, it says peace with honor, so it was still in the wartime.
Of course it
Yeah,
was.
Yeah,
The war to end all wars,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And look at the plates.
Well,
I
these
love
plates
it.
were bought for a lot of money through magazines in years gone by.
Oh, of course they
And
were.
I was at a junk store in Burlington the other day at $5. So.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah, and these came from the DAR garage sale, and nobody bought them, so we brought them here to show.
You know, I've said it so many times, privately and publicly, for some things that you and I care passionately about, my phrase is, in 2013, nobody cares anymore. So it's up to us to generate that
Yeah.
passion in just a little spark form by virtue of this interview on Hometown Cable at the Clinton County History Museum on the base. This is great.
And the middle publication by Carolyn Keene, I think that's beautiful. And
Carolyn is a sweet woman
She is.
from Canada who was adopted us here in Clinton County as the editor of the Lake Champlain Weekly. This,
She's American. She lives in Canada.
Yeah.
oh, she is?
She
I
is,
thought she was
yeah.
a Canadian
Her
citizen.
husband's a Canadian.
Oh, is that the story?
We're there, yeah.
Okay. I apologize to her if that was, I hope that wasn't offensive. But Carolyn, and they're, as we're doing this on the 18th, they're planning the Studley's Christmas party and open house in a few days. And yes, I will be there because they're good friends, but free food.
Well, there you
know.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. So
this is
can we
great.
go on to the
I love
next
this
one?
display. Okay,
Good.
and over here in the corner,
Well,
you got
that's the elf
things.
station in case anybody wants to dress up as an elf. You want to wear an
Well,
elf
where's
hat?
the elf on the shelf? You got to have a couple of those. You don't even have one
No,
here.
I don't. My
'Cause that's modern.
grandchildren do, though. Oh, my.
This elf on the shelf phenomenon, by the
Oh.
time people watch this, it won't have been passé, but adults and children, especially for Julie and I who go on Facebook every day and we see the elves fishing in toilets and hanging by their necks and freezing to death in the refrigerator, and the little kids believe they're real. And
Yeah.
that, so some of the positions they're put in by their
Well,
parents might be traumatizing.
Well, the little kids don't go on Facebook, thank heavens,
Oh.
you know.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. There are so many great traditions involved, and that's very tasteful too.
Yeah. Here's a tradition.
Oh, a little.
Oh, she moved you there.
I heard a piece about that on the air yesterday about who would ever think of kissing somebody under this poisonous plant. If your kids and your pets ever get it in their mouth, they'll be certain to get sick or expire before Christmas Eve. I love the milk bottles. You know, I found a
We
rosebud.
have a lot of milk bottles here.
I found a Rosebud Creamery
Mm.
bottle in an antique store in Dillard, Georgia, northern Georgia, when I was down there. Somebody said, "Why didn't you buy it?" I said, "Never thought of it. I was so excited to look at it and take pictures of it." So we'll move into the other room and continue our coverage of this wonderful, wonderful display at the Clinton County History Museum. And there's more to complement the season.
Yes.
What's here, Julie?
These are pictures from our glass plate negative collection that Roger Black is working on.
Oh, yes.
And he has done a wonderful job of bringing the glass plates back to life. And these are printed. Excuse me, he scanned them all to the computer, and I went into our computer and took out the winter scenes from what Roger had done. And there's a few other ones from the brush studio and so on. But yeah, he's done a great job. So many interesting things happen in the wintertime here. Of course, half the time we're covered with snow. That's the Hamilton Street School from down here. This is Knapp Light and his orchestra.
Oh, don't you love it? Look, I wonder if Knapp's got a copy of that one, Calvin. Knapp's our dear friend whom we've interviewed many times.
Oh,
And since he, he
I
probably
keep
could.
I think my father-in-law used to play with Knapp
With
Light
Knapp?
every once in a while when he needed a clarinet.
And every New Year's, he misses it when he doesn't have a gig.
Oh.
He's such a great guy. Wonderful. I love it.
Construction of the Shazy Central School.
That's a classic.
A Baptist Church fire. This is where I put in some of the pictures of where people used to buy presents for the season. So here we have the National Economy Store, National Army Navy Store in it's across the street from the Clinton County Government Center. This is when they were burning and chopping up slot machines in the 1930s. Here's Moore's Forks on the river. Gordon's Shoe Store.
Oh, yes.
The traction company that was, well, it looks like it's coming this way, but it's hard to believe that this is U.S. Avenue, and here are the houses on Officers Row. Here's the Saranac River.
Isn't that unbelievable?
This is behind the high school.
Just so
Carol
people know, I
jumping.
carry 2 tokens in my pocket from
Oh,
the
yeah.
traction company.
Here's the building of the McDonough Monument, and Jim Bailey is just fascinated with this picture.
Love that picture. I've never seen it
another
before.
one.
Oh,
and I
my
think we even
goodness.
have another one further down there. Yes.
Oh.
And you can see how much fill has been put in there.
Oh, my,
down
my,
to the
my,
river.
my.
Isn't
Well,
that amazing?
That's great.
Yeah. Here's the church on
Trinity
Trinity
Church,
Park
very
with
historical church.
spire.
Connected with Christmas because of We Three Kings of Orient are. Okay.
This is the Masonic Hall, which is now a parking lot next door to the Strand. Dick Ward wants a copy of that. This is Broad Street looking up towards the college. And this was taken the same day as the one up there with the Shazy Central Rural School. And they had come to visit the school. You can see a man on the roof actually tiling the roof on that picture. The picture's quality is wonderful.
Those glass negatives were so great.
This is Parsons and Cheney in Saranac when they had a downtown. This is Lombardoni's fruit store on Clinton
my
Street.
goodness, don't you love it?
Yeah.
Memories.
Moore's Forks, the mill in Moore's Forks. And this is where this is the corner of Margaret Street looking down into Bridge Street. Big fire there. This is all myrtles and stuff
Tragic
in here.
fires, numerous tragic fires
Oh,
in those
yeah.
days in downtown
Just some
Plattsburgh.
country scenes here. Here's Jack Krogan and his orchestra.
Oh,
Yeah, and this is Valari's studio when there was a big fire there. You can see the Methodist Church at the top of Clinton Street.
now that burned. That was one of the biggest fires ever in Plattsburgh when that burned on Oak Street.
Oh, yeah. Champlain Valley Hospital. Here's a band at the normal school. Here's another view of the McDonough Monument. That is
Those are
very
great.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
never knew those pictures existed. I'm so delighted
Excuse me.
to see that.
1926, I think it was, yeah. An outhouse on Valcour Island behind the lighthouse. Stackpole Shoe Store. Here's the courthouse, which is still there, but there's a lot of fill in there now. This is Champlain after one of its many winter floods. Larkins, you can see the vestiges of Larkins right now.
Yep.
Not down here, but up here you can see it. Line Mountain, Margaret Street, Tuttle and Parshaw, Jewelry. Here's that same fire from Bridge and Margaret Street. And here's the Cadillac Club.
Oh,
Yeah.
how well we remember.
Now, do you know this man? Was he the owner of the club here?
You know, I probably knew him
No,
well
yeah.
and can't
Leduc,
remember the
was it
name.
Leduc?
Possible.
Yeah.
And then it was the 13 Morgans. Dewdrop Morgan moved in there and had a bar and restaurant in there called the 13 Morgans, a Cadillac
Yeah.
Club. And I think about it, spending a lot of good times there and a lot of New Year's Eves, by
Yeah.
the way, back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another photograph I haven't seen. I'm having a good time, Julie.
This is a puzzle of Clinton County that Jim Bailey made. And so when kids come down here, they can take apart. Here's Beekmantown, here's Altona, and you can put it back together again.
On
however
pieces
you...
of wood.
Yep, he
That's-
actually made it
Yes,
himself. Yep.
fiberboard. And that's
And he would like to sell it, but I don't know how many kids today would do that. They prefer doing it on a computer
You know,
more
this
than...
this is fond memories for me, and although Jim Bailey's far younger than I, when I was a youngster, we had the United States map done precisely the same way, and that's how I learned the states. With a map like this, on wood or fiberboard. I can't believe Jim made that.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Okay,
Yeah.
look at this.
Up here, that is a Shirley Temple type doll. Shirley Temple had a company that made dolls. And this is a recent donation. A lady came in and donated this little crib to us. And I think she also donated this little jacket. So cute.
Oh,
And,
look at
yeah.
this. Look at
It
this.
was made at home, obviously. Beautiful work.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Yeah, a little quilt and everything.
Treasures.
Oh, yeah.
They're all treasures.
This is another painting by Calvin Collins. He's got stuff all over the country, and you never hear the name Calvin Collins. He's just in the background, you know, and he will do commission work. He's just great. 2 more Shirley Temple type dolls, and no, they're all in good shape. It doesn't look like anybody's really played with them, you know. We don't
They
have
were
the
probably
boxes
all
or
like
anything.
you were, Julie. Keep the original boxes of your sewing machine. I will
Well-
never forget that you put the instruction manual under wrap.
I
Oh
did.
my gosh.
I did.
Look at this,
Yes.
beautiful angel.
These are actually salesman samples.
Yes?
They're not toys for kids, but they ended up being toys for kids. And this is one of the Mason family, Beckwith Mason, Mason Beckwith. I forget what her first name is, but they belong to her and were donated by her family.
Those are great.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, every once in a while we get songbooks from the Press Republican. What year is this? 1997. Still the same songs coming out.
Of course they do. What would we do without them?
And this is Jerry Favreau again. And this is what she wore in, she must have been 1 or 2.
There she is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, come
Yeah.
on, Jerry, and the moths got to your little jacket.
Yeah, well, that went through all of her girl cousins after she had it.
Oh,
And it
isn't
was
that
stored in a
precious?
barn. Yeah.
Wow.
And she brought it in for us to look at.
Oh, my.
Yeah, or in the late 40s sometime. Yeah,
Jerry's such a dear friend,
And
and
she's
again with a great passion
yeah,
for history.
yeah, yeah. She does a lot for this county.
Yep.
A
All
lot,
right,
a lot
next.
for Rouse's Point.
Yep. Next, hold on a second. We kind of glossed over the fact that Roger Black has made almost a life's work out of transferring all these wonderful glass plates from Plattsburgh. We're lucky in that respect to have those, to have them preserved all these years, and then to have you reproduce those for this compliments of the season display at the Clinton County History Museum. But it takes, I won't say it's drudgery, but it's a lot of hard work and many, many hours, and you could use some volunteers.
Yes. We could use some volunteers because what is happening is the original sleeves on the glass plate negatives are deteriorating very
Yes,
badly.
yes, yes.
And we need them shifted from the old paper envelopes to new sleeves. We have the sleeves. We actually, I think, got a grant for the new sleeves, and so now we need anybody who would like to come in and transfer the negatives to the new sleeves.
How would they do that? Just stop at the museum or
Yeah,
call
or
Melissa
call
or you
Melissa,
or somebody?
yeah, or talk to Roger Black, and he can make arrangements for people to come in and help
I'm
out.
sure there's some people who'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's not strenuous or anything, and you don't have to know any computer work.
Busy work.
It's
Busy
just
work.
moving from one envelope to another.
Look at this.
Yeah, that is a real fur coat. And doing research on this, I found that this was lamb.
Lamb's less than a week old?
Persian lamb, yeah. And
Come
the
on.
ones that are less than a week old have really tight curls. And if they take them out before they're born, they're black and really, really tight curls. And the older ones, you know, more than a week old, the hair gets loses its curl. Isn't that something?
It really
And this is a size 2. So this was donated by the estate of Esther Goldman, or no, actually, Esther Goldman actually donated
Yeah.
those, yeah.
And then a houndstooth coat.
Oh, yeah, that's a little
Familiar
boy's
to
coat.
my early
Oh, yes,
childhood.
oh, yes. And these also, these came from the estate of Gertrude Savage, who was donated and whose estate donated a lot of things to the museum. And these are velvet jackets, handmade
Lord
velvet
Fauntleroy?
jackets. Yes, I can just see it, yeah.
Can't you?
Yeah, yeah. And this is an original Betsy Wetsy doll.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, are you kidding
yeah.
me?
And this is also lamb fur. This is called caracal. Yeah, and kids in the 50s loved those dolls. And she cries and she wets. Need I
I'm
say
sure you
more?
tried it out,
No,
too.
no.
No.
That's also Jerry Favreau's doll.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
before that, I think the Ideal Toy Company made this. No. Maybe it was the Ideal. Yeah, the Ideal Toy Company actually made this.
I remember well.
Yeah, I can remember looking for dolls for my kids, the had-to-have doll for whatever that season was.
Oh, of course.
All the way
How
to
many times do you
Syracuse I
think
went
we've
one
been
time.
through
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
from way back when?
Yeah.
When I was a young man, my parents did not tell me or my brother that little boys had to play with trucks and bulldozers. We could play with dolls if we wanted to, and we did. Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Ann.
Oh my, yeah,
When we were little kids, and they were our treasures.
yeah.
My mother taught me to sew, and we bought a Raggedy Andy doll that was in flat fabric with all the little stitch marks on it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my stitching was pathetic, but I still played with it for a long time.
Yeah,
Look at
you
these.
can look after yourself.
More treasures.
Oh, those are probably something special. I brought in the little crush set, but unfortunately my kids played with it so much they lost the baby Jesus, so I don't know where it is. But I thought the little figures
You
were
know,
nice.
Some of my favorite anecdotes about Christmas are of crush sets, nativity sets that have been well played with, substituting animals for the Magi, and whatever it takes, you know.
Whatever
There's a
came in.
pot-bellied pig where the baby Jesus should be, and
Yeah.
you know, I love
Oh
it.
yeah,
That
the
makes it
kids
even
love
more
it. Yeah.
precious.
We got little Victorian houses in the back, and of course the crackers, which are an English tradition that I grew up with. So every year I go hunting for crackers. And this,
You're still
people
gonna get
still
them.
make them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. A beautiful quilt at the bottom there, a crazy quilt made by somebody. It's too delicate to touch, so we put it behind glass
That's a good
there.
idea.
Yeah.
Even
This.
these bookcases are New York State treasures. Most of them were made in Utica and Rome, New York.
Oh really?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
That-
Stacking bookcases.
Yeah, that does stack, but the middle glass is gone on this one. This has got a story to it. When we had to move from the Keysville building, the Genealogical Society had to move from the Keysville building, everybody was throwing out stuff. And this happened to come from the Keysville Brownies, and I thought, well, I can't see that thrown in the garbage, so I took it out in the garbage.
Beautiful.
It is. It's a handmade, whatever those are called. What are they? Parcheesies? I don't know.
I don't know that
I don't
game.
know.
I never did play for cheeses,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And this furry thing that you told me to watch
Same
out for
thing.
when I stood there.
Yeah, that is also Astrakhan sheep, and it's a muff. Little girls put their hands inside
Yeah.
the muff in here. We've got a lot of muffs in this building, and this was a removable collar so that you could put it on another coat as the child grew. And that, don't ask me what that is.
That's
Some
wonderful.
kind of
If
animal.
kids weren't frightened away by the looks of it, they would wear. But
did you with my muff?
those muffs were available when I was a kid. I don't know if they were still around when you were a kid,
Yeah, there's
but they
some-
certainly were, and we had them in our house.
Yeah, there's some
They were
little
big,
teeny
thick, and
ones
they.
over there. I don't see how kids could keep them on.
Oh
their
really?
clothes. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get unhooked here.
That middle sled is from George Wood of Rand Hill Road.
Isn't that a
Yeah.
classic toy?
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
pretty,
that.
pretty well.
That's a
It's
treasure.
been played with. The metal little bars are broken and wired together.
Sure.
I don't know who belongs to this, but this looks like a homemade sled and lifted up. Just feel the heft of it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And snowshoes also, we don't know who actually owned them. They were given to the museum, and
Those are the biggest
information is
snowshoes
lost
I
in
have
time.
ever seen in my life. You imagine trying to take a step in deep snow with it, but they are. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I'm coming, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay, Kel.
This sweater is also from Jerry Favreau, and we do have a picture of Jerry with her sheep. When she was little, she had a sheep, and she got it from Nancy Vreeland Bishop on the up in Ellenburg, someplace, I forget where it is. Bradley Pond Road, way up
There
in
you go,
Ellenburg.
way wild,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when the sheep was shorn, her mother sent away the fleece, and she had yarn made out of it, and she made sweaters and socks and stuff for Jerry. And this is one of the ones
I
that she
love
made.
it. Jerry is a major contributor toward this display.
She got really right into it. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
This is a Dalmatian fur hat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute, folks.
Yeah. And this is a lamb's wool hat,
Yeah,
obviously. That's pretty nice.
That's a nice one.
Cozy, but I don't think I'd like to wear a Dalmatian fur
I
hat.
don't think I would
Just for
either.
the- yeah.
I hope Calvin didn't show my facial expressions in some of these
When
exhibits.
when I tell people that, it's like, oh.
Oh,
Yeah. And this is a shawl that was made by a lady, you might have even known her. No, you didn't. She died in 1933. Yeah, when she was
no, I
No,
didn't.
you didn't.
This one that I didn't
99
know.
years old, and she was born in 1833,
Wow.
and it was donated by her daughter. Now, these quilts are a contrast in quilts. It's like a city quilt and a country quilt,
Yes.
and you can actually see where the lady who made it, here's the buttonholes. She used every scrap of material that she could.
As they did.
There's a side of a pocket right there
As
and
they
right
did.
there.
Isn't
yeah.
that wonderful?
And-
There
and
were scrap bags.
The
you know.
back is made out of 100-pound Pillsbury flour bags. So
You know, young
this is-
people
this is my
have no-
favorite quilt
Ah.
right here.
I love it. Young people have no idea what we're talking about.
No.
But we interviewed a lady who is going to be 105 a couple days after Christmas
Yeah.
at Pine Harbor. Recently, Calvin and I, and her name is Beulah Livingston, Lavarnway, and talked about clothing made from the flour bags.
Oh, yeah.
And I have close contact with many quilters here in the North Country and told ghost stories to their Christmas party and the guild party the other night. And quilters are exceptional people too, and they do so much for organizations that need things at Christmas time, and they make hundreds of quilts. So quilting is great, and of course it's been a tradition in this country and in
Yeah.
many other countries. That's a gem.
It
This
is
one
a gem. You can
beautiful.
see, though, it's very, very delicate.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you can't really take it out that much. This is, let me see, Charles Signer's grandmother, Charles Signer from Peru, his grandmother made these mittens. I think I've told this story before. And she dyed and the dark line is made out of his pet dog's fur.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it is.
You
And
are
the, yeah, the
kidding.
dog's name was Cuff. Yeah,
Now, would that be any relation to George, the late George
I
Signer?
would imagine it's all the
George?
same family.
He was the most stringent dog lover I've ever
Oh, yeah.
met in my life, and he and I would commiserate on the radio oftentimes. He was
Didn't
one of the
waste any
original.
of the dog fur, so
That's
there it is
amazing.
right there.
Dog fur and the mittens. Oh, I love those. Look at this. You got another nice. Is that a shawl or
The
an
shawl,
afghan?
the shawl was made by Vicki Evans, who is a reenactor around here, and this is, I forget which Roger, Henry Rogers, is it? Henry Rogers. This coat belonged to Henry Rogers. Two types of fur here. Here's that Astrakhan again,
Yes.
Persian lamb.
And beaver.
Inside, yeah, lined with beaver. Isn't that something?
Oh.
And this is his wife's jacket that she wore as part of her trousseau when they went on their honeymoon. And the funny thing is, these were in two separate boxes in the museum. I
Yep.
think donated by two different people.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah,
But properly noted.
yeah. But how beautiful this
Oh,
is! Look
look
at
at
this
the
was
silk
made in New
lining.
York City. Yeah,
Ivory figured
yeah,
silk, it's
yeah.
called.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So
Made-
she's a little person.
Made on Fifth Avenue
Yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah. So together again after all these years.
Oh, isn't that there? people who know me know that my hue and cry is that there are no coincidences. So these two were meant to be together.
Yeah.
That's nice.
When you open up one of
It's
those
really-
textile boxes, it's like Christmas every
Is it
time you
really?
open
It
up a
must
box.
be so much
Oh,
fun, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Have we
And
seen everything?
you have seen everything.
We'll spend a little time and wrap up this delightful program in just a moment. And suddenly, as if by Christmas magic, she reappeared in the screen. Melissa, this is wonderful.
Thank you.
I love to patronize people who do a good job, but this Clinton County History Museum is rocking and rolling around the Christmas tree. This display will live on forever in hometown cable and on our little corner, and I hope that thousands of people will see it. And many people who don't live here anymore,
Yes.
people who never did live here but wish they had, will watch this program with nostalgia and great yearning, and I hope they'll come and visit.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate having you guys here, and
But
you know.
more important than all of that is the fact that we want people to stop in and see you and find out what it was like on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, but long before that is some of the displays in this great winter scene display show, because this was an active military installation way back in antiquity.
Mm-hmm.
And this great old building, which was what, a band building?
Yep, the 26th Infantry.
26th Infantry Band Building. Do you ever sit here late at night and hear music? Hear John
When
Philip
I first
Sousa?
started working here, I thought I did. I thought
I love
could hear
it.
drums,
Okay,
but
you just made the next. Oh, you hear drums?
I thought I could.
Don't,
But it was probably just the
don't,
pipe.
don't ever be embarrassed to say that, and don't blame it on the
I don't
pipes,
think it's
because I'll
haunted.
take that story and run with it. By the time I tell it in public, it will be embarrassed, because you'll have band members walking into your audience playing old trombone solos. It is a great building.
Yes, it is.
Nothing pleases me more than to see the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base being reused with its buildings
Yes.
in ways that the old infantry members who are long since moldering in their graves could come back here and say, hey, that's pretty neat what they've done with those buildings, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it was such a huge part of our community, having the base here for so many years.
Yeah.
You know.
And being a part of an active military installations in part since the Revolution, and that's
Yeah.
what's even better.
Yeah.
We thank you for coming here and deciding to adopt this wonderful museum.
Oh, I'm the lucky one.
It's good, and we all benefit from that. We want to, even though people might not be seeing this before Christmas, we're doing this on the 18th in 2013, 18th of December. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
And
I
all-
wish you a Merry
And
Christmas.
all of our viewers, do you have any special plans for 2014
We do.
that you can reveal?
I can.
I love
We're
it.
actually in the midst of getting our whole calendar schedule done. Speaking of the history of the Plattsburgh Barracks, what we were just touching upon, we've applied for a grant from the Lake Champlain Basin Program, actually 2 grants, to do a digital touchscreen display to work with some children, to have the buildings really kind of inventoried and do a history of each of them. And so we're hoping to have that done by August. And then
kidding me.
No. So
How many thousand people will have to burn the midnight oil for that one?
Oh, well, I don't
It's
think
not
it's
an easy task.
I don't think it's divided up. It'll
It
be
is?
yeah.
Oh, that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
By August of 2014.
Yep, that's the plan if we can get the grant. So but we've
You'll
already
get 'em.
started.
You'll get them. They'll be watching this.
I
Okay,
hope
okay,
so.
sure, we'll do it for them.
And then we have another one coming up. We're actually going to be opening a destination tourism gallery upstairs that will feature the Hotel Champlain, the Catholic Summer School, and also a wall of old hotels that don't exist here anymore. You know, we have like the Ross's Point hotels, Plattsburgh hotels, you know, the Hotel Cumberland. So that'll be fabulous.
No,
I
I'm
think.
I'm drooling already.
I know it's a very ambitious year for us, but
You know, since I moved here and began work here after working on the air base in the early 50s, coming back and working on the radio, this has been a goal and a dream of mine to promote tourism, to let the world know about the magnificent, rich history we have in our little corner. There's a plug for the program of northeastern New York. It's a special place with special people. You're one of them. So when you have that destination tourism thing, and we're hoping to open another museum commemorating the history of Plattsburgh Air Force Base and
Yep.
the old interpretive center across the road from the Battle of Plattsburgh, the War of 1812 Museum. So talk about a destination.
Yes, and our exhibit for that is a little different because they're only covering the period of the base.
Yes.
So we really wanted to focus on the period before.
Yeah,
So
that's fantastic.
yeah, so we're trying
One
to really
hand
work.
complements and washes the other.
Yes.
Julie, thank you so much for being with us today and for all you do. All those people we have named and the countless others that don't remain nameless, but I didn't have a list. But there's so many people who care about history, and they would not be able to do their job if there weren't viewers and readers and residents from this area and other areas who didn't love to delve into the history of this great North Country. Thanks again, Melissa.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure. As I say lots of times when I go to places I enjoy, now I feel like I'm home. Every time I walk in the front door, it's just that good warm feeling that everybody should have, with or without a toddy at this time of year, right? Thank you for our,
Along with this exhibit here.
oh yes, into
It'll be
February.
here. Yep, into February 15th is the date. It's going to last be.
So when you see it the first, maybe the second time, you'll still have an opportunity to come over here on 20 Ohio.
98 Ohio Avenue. We're in the
98,
museum
sure.
campus.
Yeah, easy to find.
Yes.
There are signs.
We try. There needs to be more signs.
If you need information, you can always call.
Yep, call 518-561-0340, and I will answer any questions that I can.
And she's rebuilding the website.
And I'm rebuilding the website, and this year, be on the lookout for lots of new things happening. So,
I'm ready. I'm
thanks
psyched.
to our wonderful group of volunteers. I have to
Yes.
throw that in there.
There is a good group. Our thanks to all of our viewers far and wide for your comments and suggestions. Thanks to Calvin for holding that camera on his shoulder on that sturdy tripod for lo these many years. And I'd like to mention now that for those viewers who can, at this giving time of the year or any other, who would like to see this program called Our Little Corner and all the other things Calvin does perpetuated into the future, get that checkbook out and write a generous check and send it to Our Little Corner or Calvin Castine on the Ridge Road, 1477 Ridge Road in Champlain, New York. And that way we'll be able to come back again and again and again. And who knows where we're going to be next time for Our Little